I think I might have just played the first real game that could possibly kill Dead by Daylight, and it's not even close. I sunk about 9 hours alone just on Saturday playing this game because of just how much fun I was having. So in this video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the latest horror PvP game, Killer Klowns from Outer Space, and why this game needs to be on your radar. Killer Klowns from Outer Space is an asymmetrical multiplayer horror game based on the iconic 80s film. It's a game where you will either play as one of the killer clowns or one of the humans trying to survive. And like I said earlier, the game is based off of the 1988 cult classic horror comedy film directed by Steven Chidiow. The movie revolves around a small American town that is invaded by extraterrestrial clowns who capture and kill humans using bizarre circus-themed weapons and tactics. These killer clowns arrive in a spaceship that looks like a circus tent, and they use deadly tricks such as cotton candy, cocoons, and balloon animals to terrorize the townspeople. Now, as far as the core gameplay loop of this game is concerned, they actually did a really good job of making it very similar to the movie, and honestly, when I first heard about this game, I didn't really think that it would translate to a very good video game, but I gotta say, they actually did a really good job, and it actually works really well. So when you actually jump into the game, you're going to be either picked as one of the clowns or one of the humans. Now, the clowns have two different objectives they need to do. Now, the first one is pretty obvious, and that one is to, kill all the humans in the game, but they also have a secondary objective. And this is why I think this game is actually really brilliant. So this secondary objective is more of like a PvE objective. Aside from the humans that are running around the map, there's also going to be several cocoons that are just scattered across the map in various locations. I believe there's 16 in total. But regardless, if the clowns are able to collect all 16 of these cocoons and put them in the machines scattered across the map, they just automatically win. Now, it takes a little bit of time to find and collect all of these cocoons, so it's not something that's going to happen really quickly. But it's nice to know that there is a secondary objective that the clowns can go after if all of the players are just being really slippery and hard to capture. And then as far as the humans goes, the humans have a bunch of different objectives that they can go after. So the whole goal as a human is to basically escape the map, and what's really nice about this game is that there are multiple ways to escape. You can repair a boat that requires one spark plug and one gasoline tank, and then take that boat and just drive off into the sunset. There is a bomb shelter that you can try to get to, but that one requires one gasoline tank and a security key. There is a teleporter that requires 2 spark plugs. And lastly, there is a main gate that requires a key and to break some debris off of to get through it. So as you can see, there is multiple ways for you to escape, and each way to escape requires certain items. Now, the gameplay loop as a human is you're basically just going to be sneaking around the map and looting items, opening drawers, things like that, to try to find the key items that you need to escape. And I think this is a really good gameplay loop because, in my opinion, when it comes to games like this, Dead by Daylight, I found the gameplay loop of just, repairing generators and then running out the main gate, that was kind of boring for me. I really like the whole aspect of looting items and just searching for things, and that's why I feel like this game is just 10 times better than Dead by Daylight. And another thing that's really interesting about this game versus other asymmetrical horror games like this is, with this game, you don't just have one killer, you've got 3 killers, and then for the humans, you can have up to 8 humans running around the map. So the lobby itself is actually pretty big, and the fact that there are 3 killers running around the map at all times is actually kind of scary and a little bit terrifying. So as you're playing the game, you will gather experience, you'll level up, you'll get unlocks, things like that. Right now, the game is a little weird in this aspect because there are classes for the clowns and also the humans, but it seems like the big features surrounding the different classes are not there yet. I think as it stands right now, the classes are literally just stat sticks right now. There's really no like passives or bonuses or things like that. But I do know that in the future, they will be improving on this and make having a class be really unique versus something else. But again, right now, as it stands, the classes really don't matter. It's just, stat sticks as far as like, your stamina, strength, things like that. The current maps for this game are actually pretty huge. I think there's 4 or maybe 5 maps total right now, and each of them are actually really large. You can tread a lot of ground on these maps, and I've gone several minutes without even seeing anybody else sometimes. So yeah, they're really big. There's tons of places to explore and hide, and it's just really cool. Now, not many people know this, but this game is actually made from the same guys that made the game Friday the 13th, which in my opinion was a far superior game to Dead by Daylight. And it's really unfortunate that the game Friday the 13th died and just had those IP rights issues, because in my opinion, if that game was still running today, it probably would have been leaps and bounds better than anything out there on the market. To anyone that doesn't know what happened to the game Friday the 13th, I think what happened was the studio had the rights to make the game, but I guess in the fine print, they didn't have the rights to update and maintain the game. So because of that, the game basically died. And it's unfortunate because I put so many hours into that game. I thought it was a blast. And for years, I was hoping or wishing that this company would just, make a new version of that game, just, without the whole Friday the 13th aspect of it. And they didn't. And I was just like, man, that's such a shame, because it was such a great game. But it looks like they've finally kind of gone out and made a new game now. And when I first heard about this game being based or themed off of Killer Klowns from Outer Space, I was like, what? This sounds really stupid. How is this going to be a good game? But I'm pleased to say that after spending a little bit of time in this game, I'm really enjoying it. And the premise and the theme of this game, it works. Now, the game's not perfect, right? There are some kinks and bugs that they need to iron out, and there's definitely things that they need to change, in my opinion, that would make this game just flow a lot better. So now we're going to talk about the things I don't like about this game and where I think they can improve, and then also some possible suggestions that I think would make this game even better. Okay, so the first issue that I have right now is that the balancing for some of the weapons in the game is just a little off whack. I don't know the name of the gun, but it's the Clown's grenade launcher. That thing is incredibly overpowered right now. It just does a ton of damage, and getting hit with that just a couple of times instantly turns you into a cocoon, and it's just really oppressive and not fun to play against. Another one that I haven't run into too many problems with, but they do happen frequently enough to make my, gameplay experience be kind of annoying, and that is just the various numbers of bugs that I've run into. They're just kind of peppered across your gameplay experience. The biggest one that I ran into that I found really annoying was in certain houses going upstairs to get to the second floor, there's like this kind of invisible barrier. You almost have to try to run up and down the stairs a couple of times to get to that second floor. It's just that last step, there's some kind of pathing issue. It's kind of crazy. So then kind of transitioning over to what I think needs to be changed, but also still kind of an issue. And again, that's the class system right now. Classes are kind of meaningless. For example, one of the Killer Clown classes is a trapper, and you play that character and there's no trapping abilities or anything. So you're just kind of what's going on? Obviously, that's something that's just not implemented into the game yet, so they definitely need to get that stuff ironed out sooner rather than later, because I feel like classes and having the unique thing that a class does in a game like this is kind of a big feature, right? So they definitely need to get that stuff sorted out quick. And then there is another system in the game called the Fate system, which I wanted to talk about right now. So basically, when you die as a human and you're spectating your other human players, there's a mini game that you can play with, and once you complete the mini game, you will be able to pick between one of 3 cards, and it's a random chance for an item to spawn. And what you can do with that item is any character that you are currently observing, you can actually give them that item. So it's really nice where, if a bunch of players are spectating that last couple of people still on the map, you can definitely help them out. And, there's a rare chance that you can actually give them a really useful item. There was one game, I was actually able to give somebody a key card that you needed to escape, which is really cool, but most of the time you just give them random kind of common items. And overall, I think this is a really cool system, but I do have some issues with it. The first one that I've run into is that I feel like it takes up too much of the screen. I mean, it takes up almost half the screen, so when you're trying to do these mini games, you really can't see much that's going on in the match. And then my other big gripe with this system is that some of these mini games I feel like just take up too much concentration, like the Simon Says one, or the one where you gotta hit the water balloons. I really hate those. The ones that I really like are the basketball one, or also the whack-a-mole ones. those are just super brain dead, and I feel like those feel a lot better to do. I think a better system would be to make that screen for the minigame a lot smaller, and also make it so like you don't even have to like look at those minigames. You could just do them pressing buttons while you're watching the gameplay. That way you're still, watching what's happening on the screen, but you're also still, contributing to helping those players in need and giving them items. So yeah, in my opinion, I think if you guys are looking for a new game to play, or you just like asymmetrical horror type games, this is definitely one to pick up, and I could definitely see myself playing this game for many hours. But that's gonna do it for this video. If you guys got this far, thank you so much, and do me a favor and consider subscribing if you guys are new here. I'm still Solo, and I'll see you all in the next one.